Hey guys, this is Caitlin from my channel Bandy's Books, and I am just here for my weekly update and live stream. Hope everybody is doing well on this hopefully nice Sunday, wherever you're at. Things are going pretty well here in Vegas. Today's been a chill day for me and Oz. We've been really busy the last couple weekends, and so this weekend we wanted to make sure that we took it easy. This was my first week, like all the way back at full time. So last week I did a full time week, but it was a slow week. So I ended up not actually having to do full time hours. But this week I definitely did completely full time hours. Friday I worked 13 hours and Saturday I worked 12 hours. So 25 hours within 48 hours. And so today I woke up. Well, last night I fell asleep super early. I slept like 12 hours. And today I woke up feeling like I got run over by a truck. My body was just like, what did you do to us? It's interesting because I've been like tolerating workouts really well and I've been doing really well as I've transitioned back into work and everything. But definitely, I think there was a big step up from like the 8-hour shifts that I did last week to a 13 and a 12 back to back this week. So I'm definitely feeling the fatigue a little bit today, but it's okay. We had planned for this day and this weekend to be kind of a nice, easy time off for us. We didn't have any like hiking or camping or anything planned, just so I could have that time to rest and recover. That said, usually I'd be off Sunday, Monday with no interruptions, and then I just work like a half day on Tuesday. But things got switched around a little bit this upcoming week because we have a big catering event for a charity tomorrow morning. And unfortunately, that event has to push out at 7:30 in the morning. So that means I have to be to work at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. So if you usually tune in for my reading sprints on Mondays at 9 a.m., unfortunately, I will not be able to do my 9 a.m. reading sprints tomorrow because I will be at work dealing with this big catering event. The one positive thing about this, I guess, is that I will be back from work very, very early in my day. So I'm hoping that that'll give me basically the feeling of having had 3 days off because I had all day today. I'll go in for like a half day tomorrow, but so early that I'll be out early and it'll be like I had the whole entire day to myself. And then I have Tuesday off in exchange because usually I would work a half day Tuesday, but I'm getting that off instead since I'm going in on Monday. So, lots of time to get some videos and Instagram stuff done and a whole bunch of stuff. Anyways, that's what's going on in my crazy world. So this morning we went out for a nice brunch. There's this place here in Vegas, in case you ever visit Vegas, called Esther's Kitchen. It's downtown. It is a local gem, something that everybody here seems to universally love. So we went up there for brunch this morning and had a fantastic, fantastic brunch. I won't tell you about the whole entire thing just because I know you're not here to like talk about food, but I had this duck eggs Benedict that was so good. So they make their own sourdough bread from scratch. So there's these thick country sourdough bread pieces with duck confit, wild mushrooms, spinach, and then 2 perfectly poached eggs, and then a duck fat hollandaise and duck chicharrones over the top. And it was so good. I mean, we ordered way too much food and we had, some drinks and coffee and everything. So once I got all the calories and the caffeine and the little bit of alcohol to relax the muscles in, I started to feel much, much better. So I am actually feeling pretty good now, but definitely was exhausted and dead this morning. So yeah, you can consider me officially transitioned back to my normal work schedule, my normal life, and my normal routine. And I'm pretty happy. Last week, I managed to accomplish a handful more videos than I have in the weeks past. We got up the TBR video. We got up a review of Hera. And I'm excited. Oh, I finally got my June review or June wrap-up video up, which, I know it took like ridiculously long amount of time to do that. So I'm glad that that's finally out of the way. So for the upcoming week, I don't have any super exciting plans during the week. It's still 110 degrees here right now, and it's been really oddly humid as well. So it's kind of gross for like going out and hiking or doing too much. So mostly this week will just be focused on catching up on videos, catching up on social media content in general, catching up on reviews. So I'm really focused right now on my YouTube, my Goodreads /Storygraph, and my Instagram. So I'm working on building up the content so that flows a little bit more evenly and a little more consistently. And at the end of the week, I'm flying home to San Diego. I'm going to leave Saturday night after work, and then I'll be back Monday, probably late in the evening. My best friend's father died, so I'm flying home for a funeral. So not really the funnest trip, unfortunately. But I'll get to see my parents and I'll get to see my best friend and her family, even though it's sad circumstances. So yeah, just trying to focus on really getting ahead this week so that this little weekend thing doesn't derail me. And then the weekend after that, my mom and I are taking a trip to Pasadena to check out some bookstores, little free libraries. And then the weekend after that, Oz and I have a trip to Utah where we're going to go camping. So basically, like the next 3 weekends are really, really hectic. So this weekend of rest and then this whole week of just not planning a lot of stuff is kind of intentional so that we can really get things caught up before things get a little chaotic again. So, channel updates. I am going to be trying to focus on posting more consistently. I know that over the last couple months, it's been a little bit chaotic, and I appreciate everybody's patience and support and understanding as I have recovered from surgery and, gotten back into the groove of things. I'm feeling really good. That's the best news, is that the symptoms that I was having prior to surgery, all of the like chronic pain and issues and things have pretty much for the most part resolved. I'm having like some normal like post-surgical stuff, like breaking up the scar tissue can cause a little bit of pain, a little bit of muscle fatigue and stuff from the surgical sites. But other than that, I'm feeling so great. And I'm just really excited to kind of get back into everything. So for the channel, the goal is consistency, not necessarily posting all the time, but at least making sure I'm consistently posting a couple things a week. I'm aiming eventually to get back to a consistent posting time of day as well. So it's not just like, oh, randomly whenever I throw up a video. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm hoping within the next week or so, I'll get back into like, okay, videos are at 5 p.m. every single day or whatever. The videos that I would like to get posted this week are my July wrap up. I'm hoping to get that posted Monday or tomorrow. I had a great reading month in July and have a lot of books to talk about. So I'm very excited about that. At the end of the week, I'm hoping to get my book of the month prediction video up. I usually post that on the 8th of the month. I am the most consistent with that video. That's the one that I think I have the most fun doing. So that will for sure be up on the 8th. I'm also hoping to do a book shopping vlog. So during my time off, I visited quite a few different bookstores. I had an epic book shopping trip in San Diego for my birthday in June. We went to 9 bookstores in San Diego. I had there's a bookstore that just opened here in Vegas. So I did a vlog of their bookstore for their grand opening. There's another bookstore that I found here in Vegas that I hadn't heard of before, and it's kind of like an underground hidden local spot. So I did a video of that one. And then I had a friend visit from Albuquerque, and we went to 2 bookstores here in Vegas. So I have like 5 different book shopping vlogs that need to get posted at some point. So one of those will come up this week. I'm hoping to get up one review, like one focused review, and a recipe review video. So while I was out for surgery and doing recovery, Oz and I actually ended up shooting like 6 recipe and review videos. So I have quite a few of those that just need finishing touches and editing and stuff. And then I may possibly get up a book organization video as well, / bookshelf tour. Towards the end of my recovery time, I reorganized my entire bookshelves and like in like way more detailed fashion than I usually do. And so I wanted to get that up eventually as well, because I'll probably do my next one like in the fall around Halloween time when I decorate. And so I just want to get this one up before I'm like doing fall decorations and stuff. So that's what I'm hoping to get up this week. Lots of content, as you can tell. And then in terms of live streams, I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but if you're logging in, I work tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. I have a catering event that has to be out at 7:30. So I have to go in at 4, which means I'll be waking up at 3. So I will not be doing reading sprints at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'm thinking that I may try to do a reading sprint in the afternoon, but I'm just not sure because I may be just honestly exhausted. And actually, now that I'm saying that out loud, I think I'm just going to skip the reading sprint tomorrow in general because, like I said, I'll be up at 3, working from 4 to like 8 or 9. And then usually my reading sprint would start at 9, but that means I got to come home, like walk Luna and take care of stuff. And then I may need a nap, but I'm hoping that I'll be like energetic enough that I can get some stuff done. Anyways, so sorry if you were looking forward to reading sprints tomorrow, they will not be happening. Hopefully the following week they will. I may have to readjust my reading sprint times for the month of August in general, just because now that I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to San Diego next weekend. I'll be in San Diego on Monday. The week after, we're going to Pasadena, which I'll be in Pasadena on that Monday. And then the week after that, Oz and I will be camping up in Utah. So TBD on the reading sprints. Maybe I'll move them to Tuesday afternoons or something like that. So let's get into the reading because that was a lot of rambling. My reading week was interesting this week. I got a lot of reading done. I don't know if it was the best in terms of content. I read one book that I really enjoyed and then several other books where I was like not so hot on them. So first I'll mention Hera by Jennifer Saint. So I have a focused review on this. I'm not going to go into great detail about this. I really like the Greek mythology retellings. I think, though, that it's getting to a point where maybe they're starting to get too mass produced. I love Madeline Miller's books, and I would wait 6 or 7 years in between each book just because she does such a fantastic job and she's so thoughtful in the way that she retells. And I think Natalie Haynes does a pretty good job. In the past, I've really enjoyed Jennifer Saint's, some of her books, but I feel like the last couple that I've read by her have been maybe too commercial. I don't know that she's really doing anything different with the stories. And that's kind of how I felt about Hera, is that essentially I think she just summarized the original Greek myth and she didn't really retell it in a way that made it new or interesting. I also read a book called Cities of Women by Kathleen Jones. This is a historical fiction, and this was a really slow book. There's 2 POVs, and one POV is in modern times. It's of a woman who is considering changing the focus of her education. And I honestly felt like that POV was completely pointless. Like, it's just there to move the narrative along, but really irrelevant to the rest of the story. And I feel like the part of the story that's told in the past would have been more interesting without the present and the flashbacks. So that one was just so-so for me as well. Then I finally read a book that's been on my bookshelf for the longest time. And I don't know. Current me is like, I don't know why I put this on my bookshelf, but I do if I think back to when I bought it. So I have Darling by Kay Ancrum. This is a book that I got, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. And I went through this phase of reading like classic story retellings. So this is a Peter Pan retelling. And we have this young woman who moves to Chicago. She's from like the small town. Mom used to live in Chicago and had this like sketchy instance when she was a teenager where she went out with this group of boys. Someone got murdered, and so she moved away to this small town. And so they've now decided to move back to Chicago. And all of a sudden, the young lady that is the focus of the story meets this strange boy named Peter, and Peter invites her out to go party with him and his friends. And this leads to a whole bunch of like shenanigans and chaos. And she's just in a really sketchy scenario. It's like, part of me reading this book was like, this character is insanely like either naive or just doesn't care. I don't know. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. The girl's motivations, she's bored, and I get it. She's a teenager. She wants some freedom. And so like that initial like running out and going and doing something, I could understand. But I guess from there, as things start to go wrong, the fact that she continued to stay in this situation to me was like, I don't think this is very realistic. I did kind of enjoy the direction that Ancrum went with Peter. Like her idea for who Peter is and who the Lost Boys are and Tinkerbell and everybody in the story, I thought was kind of interesting. But overall, I think this was a very mid book for me. I don't know that I would like recommend it highly unless you're just like super, super interested in Peter Pan retellings. But I'm glad that I finally checked it out. Glad to have moved it off my shelves. That's about it. And then I read Lapvona by Ottessa Moshfegh, and I have that somewhere, but I don't have the book with me at the moment. If you're not familiar, that's the one with the dead sheep on the front cover. So I had great luck with Ottessa Moshfegh last month. I read My Year of Rest and Relaxation, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was very interesting. It wasn't a 5-star, but it was definitely a 4-star. So I thought, well, I have this other Ottessa Moshfegh book on my shelves, Lapvona. I've been wanting to read it for a while. I've been kind of like waiting to be in the right mood for it. I heard that there was some gross stuff in it, that it's kind of edgy and satirical. And so I picked it up, and it was a tough book for me. So there were elements that I found interesting, and then there were elements that I found not interesting. And so it's kind of just a really mixed bag. I really appreciated, there's in the story like an older woman who has kind of a magical power to her. She's nursed all of the babies in this town, and she's now like a very elderly woman, and somehow she still nurses people. She was like a very interesting character. What was going on with her was very bizarre, but like kind of intriguing as well. But the rest of the characters were really hard to like, really hard to relate to. I did feel like in some ways the leader of this town, Lapvona, kind of mirrored some of the things that we're seeing in the United States, but like in a more, I don't know what the right word is. Like the guy that is the leader is extremely self-centered, extremely selfish. He doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't care what the repercussions of his actions are. He doesn't care that he's like thrust his town into a drought and then starvation because of the drought. His focus is just on pleasure and himself. And he doesn't care how many people he hurts or makes uncomfortable in the meantime. And so that felt like it could fit for a lot of people here in the United States in terms of political leaders and things. But I just don't know if, I guess it could fit in a lot of places too. It wouldn't necessarily just fit to the United States. It could be like a satire of a lot of different countries and a lot of different political leaders. But it just felt like it wasn't specific enough, if that makes sense. Like for me, I find satire most successful when I can pinpoint what they're satirizing. And in this case, it just felt very generic. It felt like it was poking fun at a lot of places and people and things. And so it wasn't that successful for me. Also kind of a mid book. It is possible that it was smarter than I am and I just didn't get a lot of it. But for me, it was definitely not as strong as my year of rest and relaxation. And then the one book that I read this week that I really, really liked was 10 Minutes and 38 Seconds in the Strange World by Elif Shafak. So I'm really glad that I picked this one up because Elif Shafak can really do no wrong. I've read several of her books and they're always good. This one I think was particularly good. We have a young woman who is laying in a dumpster and she is dying. And this book is her memories of her life as she is dying. And she has just a brutal life. She's talking about, her family who essentially betrayed her and abandoned her and pushed her away. And then the choices that she had to make because of that. And it's heartbreaking. This is definitely a really, really sad book. It's not something I would recommend going into lightly. If you are interested in it, I would definitely check the trigger warnings because there are quite a few. But I think that this character was captured really well. I think that Shafak's commentary on why women make the choices that they make sometimes was really, really well done. I think she shows very, very clearly how being a victim as a child trickles throughout your adult life and how women can continue to suffer because of those things. This is definitely the best, hands down, the best book that I've read this week. And I'm sure that this will probably be one of my 5 stars at the end of the month. I like to take time to kind of think about how I feel about a book, especially when it elicits a really strong response. So it's not like I'm hesitating to say that it's 5 stars, but sometimes, I like to mull over how I'm going to rate things. And sometimes it takes a few days for a book to really give me a full impact. I just finished this one. And so I like to kind of mull things over and think about the themes that it discussed and how it discussed it. But I'm pretty sure this will be one of my better reads in the month. So that is everything that I read this week. For the upcoming week, I've got a lot of potential things that I would like to read. So I'm both working on the oldest books on my bookshelves. So ones that have been multiple times on TBRs, ones that I've had for a very long time, ones that I keep putting off. Basically, that's my focus of this month. And then the secondary focus of this month is getting some of my NetGalley ARCs caught up because I am just a little bit behind. So for my NetGalley shelf, I'm going to hopefully read The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. This is a cozy fantasy. It's about a young woman who works in a magical zoo, basically, and she's in charge of the phoenixes. And the zoo is struggling, and so she has to get involved in some publicity, and she's just not naturally that kind of a person. So I am really excited about that. So I don't read very many cozy books in general, regardless of what kind of genre. But every once in a while, if one stands out to me, I will pick it up. And so The Phoenix Keeper really stood out to me. I saw an audio ARC of it on NetGalley, so I recommended that, and we'll see how it goes. I have also been kind of feeling like I want some fantasy and some sci-fi, so that kind of fits. And then I have The Coin by Yasmin Zahir. This is a quirky looking kind of a literary fiction that is coming out very soon as well. When I was watching all of the books that were predicting the Booker long list, this was a book that got mentioned a couple times, and that's what put it on my radar I'm not too sure off the top of my head the specifics of it, but it's like one of those ones that I feel like I just want to go in blind. So hopefully that'll work out as well. And then I have another book called A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Liang. I also have an audio ARC of this one. I believe this is a fantasy as well. So those are the 3 audiobooks that I'm hoping to get to through my NetGalley ARCs. Hoping, like I said, to kind of chip away. If I could get to like 5 to 10 ARCs this month, I'd be really happy. That would really help my NetGalley numbers. Let's see. I just got approved for an ARC of Shafak's latest. So excited. It looks like it'll be fantastic. I am so jealous. That is like one of my most anticipated book releases of 2024. I love Shafak's writing. Everything that I've read by her is so good. And you are right. That one sounds fantastic. I think there's 3 timelines. One like way back when, set on the River Thames with a gentleman who's living in like an impoverished area really close to the river. I forget, the second timeline was a granddaughter and a grandmother, I think. And if I remember correctly, it had something to do with Iraq and wanting to pray in a specific church or mosque, but the conflict causing problems getting there. And then the third timeline, if I remember correctly, was a woman who had recently gotten divorced and is living on a houseboat on the River Thames. So I'm curious to see how all 3 of those stories will twine together, what Shafak is going to do with it. I mean, everything that she writes is beautiful, so I think it's going to be great. I really hope that you enjoy this one, Elizabeth, and I would love to hear how you felt about it once you get done reading it. I will hopefully be reading it soon myself. So those are the ARCs, and then for physical books, so like I mentioned, this month's TBR is all focused on, for the most part, books that are older. So this is what I picked out. So I'm hoping to read Jollof Rice and Other Revolutions, a novel in interlocking stories by Omolola Ijeoma Ogunyemi. So this is a short story collection that I picked up a while back, one that's been on my radar for a while. I've been having just the best success with short story collections lately. And so I feel like I'm ending up with a couple short story collections on every single TBR. And I haven't been disappointed yet so far. So hopefully this will be a really good one as well. And then maybe Beautiful Country by Qian Julie Wang. This is a memoir. I hear so many good things about this. From what I know of this, Qian Julie Wang's family immigrate from China to the United States. Her parents were professionals in China, and then when they moved to the United States, they're forced to take jobs that are, not at the professional level they were at when they left. And it's basically her story of assimilation and like learning to live in the United States. I've heard just rave reviews about this, and I've had it on my shelf for a really long time, so I'm really hoping to get into it. And then I mentioned earlier in this live stream that I was really looking forward to getting into maybe some fantasy or some sci-fi this month, or this week rather. I feel like last month I read a lot of books with some really, really heavy, difficult themes, and I've kind of even continued that into the first week of this month. And so I wanted to break that up a little bit with some things that are maybe just a little less intense. Not to say that they won't have any heavy themes or that they don't talk about difficult subjects, but just, something that's a little bit outside of reality. So I picked up Game Changer by Neal Shusterman. I actually don't know too much. It says there are infinite ways to do the wrong thing. As a tackle on his high school football team, Ash is used to taking some hard hits, but that one run in his last game must have knocked him a little loose because suddenly his life doesn't look quite the way he remembers it, almost like he's in another dimension. So this sounds really interesting. I read Shusterman's Arc of Scythe series maybe 6 to 8 months ago and really, really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping that I will enjoy Game Changer as well. We will see. So this is a possibility for the week. And my last potential pick for this week is Axiom's End by Lindsay Ellis. So I believe that this is the start to a sci-fi series. I want to say it's like 3 books long. It's not one that I was super familiar with. I ended up with this book because of a library sale at one point. They do those like fill a whole entire bag of books for $5. And this was one that caught my eye. So I picked it up. And then recently, Jamie over at Jamie Kate mentioned that she read this and really liked it, and that Lindsay Ellis is an author she's a fan of. We have pretty similar reading tastes, so I'm hoping that that bodes well for me as well. And hopefully it'll also give me that sci-fi fix that I'm looking for. So those are all of the books that I may potentially read this week. I I think we've covered pretty much everything. Like we talked about this week and what's going on in my life, talked about brunch and my crazy work schedule, talked about maybe rescheduling the reading sprints, covered what we're going to be trying to post on my channel this week, what I've read, and what I'm hoping to read. So I think that's a lot. Hopefully you found some books that you're interested in reading through this video, or, maybe books that you didn't hear of before. So I think I'm going to close that out here. And again, if you're watching this and you're looking forward to reading sprints tomorrow, I'm super sorry. I think unfortunately Mondays at 9 for the duration of August is just not going to be possible. But I will look for another time during the week where it might work, and I will get those posted soon. So I'm going to end this video here. I hope that everybody had a fantastic weekend, and I hope that your upcoming week goes really well. I hope that you have some really good books picked out and some fun things planned in your life. And I will see you throughout the week. Thanks so much for joining in. Bye.